Hi everybody, how's it going? We're here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is Wheel of Fortune and the Moon. And Three of Swords. Seeing Wheel of Fortune, the Moon, and Three of Swords gives this feeling of there being stuff that has to do with Moon having to do with your emotions. So Moon and Three of Swords can be turning in towards yourself and understanding wounds, understanding pain, understanding trauma, exploring that. Wheel of Fortune feels like I'm expanding in my understanding of that and how things change through my understanding of that. And then we have the World here, which feels like there's a concrete lesson, there's a concrete understanding here. So Moon and Three of Swords can be very painful territory to go into because it's so sensitive already with the Moon. And then the Three of Swords is where we feel like we've been injured, where we feel like we've been psychologically injured, emotionally injured, energetically injured, physically injured. Going into that space, spiritually, going into that space, digging up all of those things so you can understand it. Wheel of Fortune feels like there are things that I am putting together now. There are things that I'm understanding. There are things that are clicking that were not clicking before. And the World feels like it just solidifies that. The World feels like, nice job, you graduated on that understanding. So this feels like heavy shadow work, heavy emotional work, heavy psychological work, heavy spiritual work that you're doing, and how you're going to be able to, how this allows you, it enables you to grow and expand and to change things and not have to repeat the same cycles anymore. Another win under your belt. Us ending this part of the spread with the World shows you have done this and you don't need to repeat this again. You don't have to go back in there anymore because you've basically completed that. Big expansion intuitively that I'm seeing here. You can feel like cognitively and emotionally and intuitively that there's some very visible expansion, growth, learning that's happening here about yourself, which will also mean a deeper understanding of others as well. Moon and Three of Swords can also be stuff that you didn't realize was there. Like, I didn't realize that trauma was there, or I didn't realize that wound was there. And Wheel of Fortune can be a time where it's like, okay, now you're going to see that that's there. You're going to look at this. And when you do, if you're willing to see what's really going on, there can be a lot of learning that happens, a lot of understanding that happens. And how your life changes because of that, how your behavior changes because of that, how your whole concept of how things work, how you interact with yourself, how you interact with others change because of that. I get the feeling of you being this little explorer here. Swimming around and checking things out. Okay, we are looking at the Lovers, which feels like this happened most likely in the context of a relationship, the context of a partnership. Learning more about yourself, learning more about this other person, learning more about each other, learning more about the relationship. where you stand emotionally too. Wow. Having Page of Cups and having the Lovers and having the Three of Cups here, especially after Three of Swords has happened, it looks like something painful happened with you and another person, or this feels more so like my own stuff or their own stuff that resurfaced. Three of Cups is feeling like the reconciling through understanding, but this does feel like, let's talk about it in first person, and keep in mind this can be the other person that you've been dealing with. This person moves through, and it's time for something. What's the best way to explain this? If an individual has their own stuff that comes up, it looks like a close relationship was impacted by that. So their own stuff that came up within the relationship, that came up within the dynamic. Having Moon and having Three of Cups here is going to be facilitating a deeper understanding between you and yourself, you and your emotions, or it can be this person and their emotions and how I'm impacted by them. Having Wheel of Fortune, having Page of Cups shows that there's stuff that's being learned through experience, because Wheel of Fortune and Jupiter, this is the stuff that through experimenting within life, or through like pushing yourself into things, or just being a part of things and having experiences, the stuff that you learn in a tangible way. It is the pragmatic stuff. And having Page of Cups there, this means that there's expansion emotionally and psychologically and intuitively, all of that, like all within myself that I'm going through right now. There are things that I'm learning about myself. There are things that I'm understanding about my emotions and my intuition. And values can be part of this too. Then having Moon and having the Lovers can be, I'm delving deeper into the unknown of my relationship with myself and also my relationship with this person in front of me. And then having Three of Swords there is this thing that came up. It can be for both of you guys, this Three of Swords thing came up, and it can be for one of you guys. It's going to be like your stuff, and then they experience this, or their stuff, and you were also impacted by what was going on with them. Having ultimately the Moon and the Three of Cups here shows that this thing is being healed. This Three of Swords is being healed through things clicking into place because we're understanding them now. Through the difficult, challenging things that we go through to have Saturn be here, to have the world be here. Through this difficult stuff that I experience, through these difficult moments, these challenging moments that we have with ourselves and with those around us, specifically you and this person, it shows that emotional consciousness is being grasped in a way that feels very concrete. This isn't some elusive, I don't really understand, or I'm not really seeing the big picture here, the full thing. This is a moment where you really are grasping and understanding. Something very solid clicking into place, and that allows there to be true recognition and also reconciliation with the energy. That means something can fully be allowed to be healed. And also too, having Three of Swords and the Lovers, a painful situation that you go through with someone, that there can be very tender sensitivities here with the Moon. And then having Three of Cups is reconciling and understanding that this person across from you is another human. Three of Cups is about not just like, let's try to make it all better now. It's actually having this profound, deep understanding and like, oh, I go through that too, or I can understand that too, or I can have empathy for this person or show them compassion. And that being genuine, because the Three of Cups is genuine. So you go from being up in arms. There could have been something about there being defensive or not wanting to get hurt, or even somebody feeling like something got triggered for them and then saying something or stuff all coming forward, but then I'm seeing it be soothed. not through bypassing, but through actually this mutual understanding that's happening. And this feels too like a time where you and this person, like your moons, understand one another. So you can feel like where you stand emotionally, and also at your core too, because we can see our moons as being us in a very raw and vulnerable way. You can feel like this person really saw you and understood that, even though it can feel painful when that happens, because they're also seeing your vulnerabilities as well. And it could have been something where a person was triggered, this stuff happened. Again, feels like within the context of your relationship, and then sort of the recovery after that. How's that taken care of? And it looks like it all comes together in a place where it's like things are good, things are okay, this is safe, this is a safe space to be. And this can also be something that it feels like it ultimately brought you closer together with this person because of just having this bleeding heart there, being seen, and then having that Three of Cups feels like how do we work through this together through understanding and compassion. And it does feel like there was a receptivity, even though it could have started off in a way that felt like individual energy gets brought to the relationship, sort of explodes within that, and then is like teamwork to try to work this out and figure this out. And then the learning that happens through this and how that ultimately changes things and allows things to proceed, allows your relationship to you grow in an interpersonal way, where through your understanding of yourself, it also allows you to understand this person. It feels like growing and expanding too within a partnership that's happening. There could have been a need to make something right as well. That can be part of this too. Also too, owning up can be part of this too. Having Wheel of Fortune and having the Hermit is going to be about when the thing takes place, because it was time for this to happen. Almost like this thing got triggered and now it's here, and now like what are we going to do about this? We got to figure it out. Or we could, that's an option anyway, if we want to. Having Wheel of Fortune and having Hermit feels like there's also on an individual level an analysis of this. So like, yes, there is with you and this person. Having Page of Cups and having the Lovers can be a gesture too that's made so things can come back together again. It can also be too an honesty emotionally. Like, this is actually the thing that's going on for me, and I'm being really vulnerable here, bringing this to my partner. And having the Three of Cups there feels like a very receptive response, ultimately, of somebody that's like, oh, me too, or I understand that, or how can I support you, or how can we support each other through this. Three of Cups is that coming together where you don't feel like you're strangers with this person. And having the World here signifies this is not an easy thing to work through. It shows the grit that this takes to work through this type of thing. This is an intense course that you're going through, both with you and yourself here and also within your partnership as well. And through my exploration of self, I'm also able to explore my partnership. That being part of this too. Having the World and having World be connected with Hermit and having Wheel of Fortune be connected with Hermit, I'm seeing this as, and also Justice on the bottom of the deck, this is like a balancing of the heart and the mind, knowing how we want to be showing up. Also too, having World and Wheel of Fortune connected with Hermit, this is about having the experiences that you're having and then also analyzing what's going on and reflecting on what's going on, so you basically unpack it, so it's something that is understood rather than something that you take in and then you don't properly know how to apply it, and then it sort of is like lost on you. This is more so like I'm taking all of this in. But yeah, if something happened with you and this person, which obviously looks like it did, I'm seeing things be good with the Three of Cups here. And justice can be whatever needs to be done. If there is a correction or something needs to be owned, or an apology even can be, justice is going to be if like you did something and you feel like you need to make it right in some type of way, like going about doing that thing, if that hasn't been done already, or if they did something, that can be the energy that comes through. It feels too like Wheel of Fortune and the Lovers feels to me like it was time for you and this person to sort of go through this, and Three of Swords feels like the thing that happened, and then with the Hermit, this is going to be a breaking down of things. I wonder too if Virgo had to do with this, like transit wise. I'm seeing Gemini and I'm seeing Virgo here. Gestures and feelings and thoughts. Going into unexplored territory and coming back stronger for it, especially going through something that feels quite challenging to go through and really does take that grit to work through it. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.